NightingaleMPLS.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live at 2 p.m. from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing weeknights at 8 p.m. on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to the Gailey Show. I am your host, John Parker. I hope you all had a great weekend. I am joined in studio by my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hello, all.
And today, captaining this ship, hey, Adam, in the control room.
Hello, John. Hello, Jim.
How are you?
As good as I can be with the current state of everything going on in the world. I'm just trying to survive.
Hanging on.
By a thread.
Yeah.
By a thread. The fact that it's 42 degrees outside is not helping. It's really, what is that phrase from the Dragon Show that we didn't watch? Winter is coming, or winter is never leaving, or I feel bad. That
we
just
never watch the
shows
popular shows. They're too dumb for us.
We're too cool for that.
I guess. Something. We're too something for that.
Well, we are gonna start today a brief little feature that we're gonna start off at the top of every show. It's gonna be called Daily Fact Reminders. So these are the 4 facts that we're going to be including in our daily reminders for just a few weeks here so that we all memorize it and we're all very aware of a fact. Number 1, according to the Journal of American Medical Association Pediatrics, so JAMA Pediatrics, the oldest continuously published pediatric journal in the United States, less than 0.1% of transgender kids receive puberty blockers or gender-affirming hormone treatment, and it's 0% for children under 12. Per the Mayo Clinic, puberty blockers do not cause permanent physical changes. To take hormones or to get surgery requires additional levels of care and is not automatic. Speaking of surgery, no children under age 12 receive surgery for gender transition. Fact number 2, universal health care is not a far-left policy. MAGA's favorite European country, Hungary, has universal health care, and the far-right government there has been investing in it, not dismantling it. And just to tell you how far-right they are, they just banned pride parades. Okay? Fact number 3, daily reminder. Kamala Harris got 31,000 more votes than Biden did in North Carolina, 37,000 more votes than Biden did in Wisconsin, and 74,000 more votes than Biden did in 2020 in Georgia. Reminder, 86% of LGBTQ voters went for Kamala, over 20% increase. And a final reminder, in its most recent study, undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. In Minnesota, in 2022, undocumented immigrants paid $221 million in taxes. And in Illinois, they paid $1.5 billion in taxes.
Now, that's in my mind, of the 4, that's one that's really important because, as we understand in Minnesota, unfortunately, isn't Governor Walz agreeing to take away Medicaid for undocumented workers? So I think what you said,
Medicaid, is Minnesota Care.
Or Minnesota Care.
And be taken away by the end of, based off of his compromise,
yes,
it would be taken away at the end of this calendar year, December 31st.
Right. So as you said, people pay taxes, but they don't get the benefit of it. And that's wrong. If I can say it in a word.
You're going to drag me onto this topic area.
No,
all
don't
I'm going
get
to
on
say
it.
is that immigration policy is not supposed to be set by a healthcare bill, and this is a healthcare bill.
Right.
So being sucked into the GOP's immigration argument was a failure.
Right.
So number 1. Number 2, you don't find a compromise by kicking people off their health insurance, because what you're doing is you're just shifting the costs to the hospitals. People will still need the ER.
Right.
If they can't afford it because they're on health insurance, then that hospital has to eat those costs.
Right.
Either they're paying for it themselves, or they have to, someone takes out debt, they don't pay on the debt, and then they lose out on the money. So they're just shifting the cost burden. It's not actually saving money. And when that continues to happen, it's one of the reasons why we had the Affordable Care Act. And we wanted everyone to have health insurance, because these catastrophic situations were causing more harm than they were saving money.
Right.
Anyway.
Yep.
On the show today, GLAAD has released its social media safety index report. We're going to talk about that later in the show. Also later in the show, shocker, the Texas House has voted to repeal its sodomy law. What? Shouldn't be a shocker, but still is. An appeals court has struck down Florida's drag ban for now. But up first, we're going to talk about the most pressing, a lot of law stuff today. A federal judge, an uber MAGA federal judge, has struck down workplace protections for LGBTQ workers. Did this past Thursday. So the judge is Matthew J. Kaczmarek of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. And why I'm saying his name, Judge Matthew J. Kaczmarek, is that he's an uber far-right guy. When the far-right, when the Christian nationalists want to get a law or get a court into the system and get it up to the Supreme Court, they like to start here because they know that he will go off and just create stuff and rule in their favor. So let's talk a little bit here because there's some facts of the case and then I want to talk about the implications of this, right? So there's the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act from 1964, right? And it protects employees and job applicants from employment discrimination, but that's only based off of race, color, religion, national origin, and sex. Sex in this instance is gender. And not a comprehensive one. Folks, we're just going to say sex right now because that's what's in the law. And in 2020, the Supreme Court shocked everybody with a case called Bostock versus Clayton County. And they said that in the case, 3 workers who had sued because they had been fired because of their sexual orientation. The court said, well, actually, that is sex-based, gender-based harassment and is therefore illegal, and meaning now that all LGBTQ folks are protected under Title VII. But that's kind of a weird thing, right? Like, what does that mean? That means that what they're trying to say in their argument is that liking a man isn't wrong. The act of liking a man isn't wrong. Like when a woman likes a man, that isn't wrong. But what the Christian nationalists and the MAGA folks want to say is when a man likes a man, that suddenly is wrong. And so what the argument that they were making and the Supreme Court agreed with is that the act of liking a person of a particular gender isn't wrong when you're fired for it based off of your gender identity. So when a man does that, that is a form of sex discrimination, gender discrimination, and that is prohibited based off of Title VII.
Right.
Supreme Court agreed.
It's not absolute protection. It's kind of indirect.
Well, so what it means is then everyone in the U.S. who works at or applies for a job with any type of organization, so a federal agency, a state agency, a nonprofit, a business, etc., as long as they have 15 employees, they were now protected under federal law against employment discrimination based on being LGBTQ, right? So you can't be fired for being gay. You can't be fired for transitioning in the workplace. Well, Judge Matthew J. Kaczmarek has decided otherwise. The state of Texas sued the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, is the agency that regulates this, right? If you want to say, hey, my boss fired me for being gay, you could sue them, you could get a lawyer, or you could go to the EEOC's website and say, hey, hello, I've been fired for being gay, trans, bisexual, etc. Well, the state of Texas sued the EEOC and said, well, what you're telling us to do is actually, and I'm not joking, violating Texas's, quote, sovereign right to establish workplace policies. And Kaczmarek agreed. He said, now this is the geniusness of the evilness of his argument. He's saying that in the Supreme Court case, they ruled because the plaintiffs were suing because they got fired, that the Supreme Court said that you can't get fired for being LGBTQ, but you can be bullied, you can be harassed, you can be misnamed, you can be misgendered. All of that is now fair game. None of any of that is workplace harassment, according to Judge Kaczmarek. And so he went so far then as to say that the EEOC is now required to remove all references to sexual orientation and gender identity as protected classes under Title VII.
terrible human being, Judge Kaczmarek.
It's just so now, of course, the EEOC is going to, like, we're expecting them to appeal it rather. It's going to go up to the Supreme Court. Obviously, it'll be very interesting to see what this court now does, because there are going to, I don't remember, obviously, Amy Coney Barrett is new. I don't think she was on when the court ruled on Boss Talk, the original case here. So I'll be curious now if they'll agree and say, yeah, you can't fire somebody for being gay or bisexual or trans, but you can absolutely bully them in the workplace.
Well,
you can make fun of them. You can say that, no, you can't use this name. You can, say that they can't use a particular bathroom. You could say, hey, you can't wear that clothing.
But that's being a bully, and being a Republican seems repetitive. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they do to everybody that they don't like, with the blessing of the religious folks. They abuse people right and left, and get away with it. The worst of human behavior is sanctified by the Republican Party. If somebody votes for them, you should tell them what you think of that.
Well, it's so, I don't even know why. And I don't think I'll ever get a good answer on this, why they are so obsessed with us that they have to be, they can sit there, and I know I've repeated myself a lot about this particular point, but they will sit there and say, all we care about is someone being able to do a good job. Nobody should be discriminated against. No one should get special rights.
Right.
But suddenly,
except for this,
if it's a lesbian in the workforce or a trans person in the workforce, then they can be discriminated against. They can be bullied. They can be called names.
But you know what I'm going to say? This is driven less by hatred than people's own anxiety about themselves. I can't prove this with data, but my instinct has been for decades that people who are not secure, people who are secure in their sexuality, don't seem to have a problem with anybody else, don't think about anybody else, live their life. The people who are obsessed with someone else have a problem or a doubt or a question about their own sexuality, and they project right and left.
There is data to back that up, actually. We're going to take a short break here. Check out more progressive talk and news at am950radio.com and heartlandsignal.com. You're listening to The Gailey Show. This June, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus serves Diva Worship for their Leading Ladies Divas of Broadway Pride concert. Feel the heat, the passion, the undeniable power of music that sets your soul on fire. From the sultry seduction of Bring on the Men, to the soul-stirring wisdom of Children Will Listen, to the joyous, rebellious charm of Do Re Mi. With dazzling harmonies, show-stopping flair, and a touch or more of jazz hands, the Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus will take you on a thrilling, emotional, and downright life-changing musical journey. It's the electric energy of 180 voices, bold, unapologetic, and dripping with Broadway brilliance. This isn't just a concert, it's a celebration of pride, power, and the irresistible magic of Broadway. The dates are June 21st and 22nd at the Ordway. Tickets start at $28. Get yours today at tcgmc.org. That's tcgmc.org. It's entertainment worth coming out for.
Life after military service is different. Many veterans find transitioning difficult, feeling lost and uncertain about the future. These feelings don't take away from a veteran's strength, courage, or sense of duty. If you're a veteran in crisis or know one who is, the power of one person, one connection, one act of compassion can make a difference. For free 24/7 confidential support, call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or visit veteranscrisisline.net.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Be part of something new at History Theater with the premiere of Whoa Nellie, the Outlaw King of the Wild Middle West. This original musical follows Nellie King, a daring and complex figure whose life defied expectations in the 1800s. Packed with vaudeville style, humor, and heartfelt moments, it's a bold look at fame, identity, and truth with surprising relevance today. Whoa Nellie runs May 17th through June 8th in downtown St. Paul. Tickets and details at historytheater.com. That's historytheater.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am your host, John Parker. It is 21 minutes past the hour. Our call-in number for folks listening in the 2 p.m. hour, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. All right, speaking of the law, I always love the court cases where we get to have free speech. It seems like all the time the free speech goes to MAGA and the Christian nationalists and all of those folks. Well, finally, we get to have free speech too, everyone. A court. So if you all remember Florida drag ban, right? They were like, nobody can go to drag performances. And they were just basically trying to get rid of all of them. Well, and this was a few years ago. Finally, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals issued a 2-1 decision against the law. And they said the law is way too broad and that it's taking a shotgun, quote unquote, to constitutionally protected free speech rights. Hey, look at that. We get free speech. How fun.
At least for 5 minutes, we do. I mean, that's
well,
something.
so yeah, so that it effectively continues a lower court. So a lower court said, no, you can't enforce this law. That's the word I'm looking for. Enforce this law. And so obviously, you know, DeSantis and his government appealed to the higher 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and they were like, nope, you can't. Unfortunately, it does kick the lawsuit back down, and there has to be a full-on bench trial, which I'm assuming is a jury trial. Don't quote me on that. But there were some fun quotes that I want to share from the Judge Robin Rosenbaum. They were the ones that wrote the decision, and they said that the law's prohibition against, quote, lewd conduct, end quote, was like a prosecutorial skeleton key that any state official could just use whenever they want to ban any speech that they suddenly decide is obscene. They said, they went on to write, Judge Rosenbaum, that the law takes a, quote, I know it when I see it approach to regulating expression, and that the act prohibits children's admission to live performances that Florida considers obscene for minors, but by providing only vague guidance as to which performances it prohibits, the act wields that proverbial shotgun. So I just think that this is, and also brought up the, apparently in Miami, Judge Rosenbaum brought this up, in Miami, which brand is it that's got the it's a suntan lotion that has the, is it that the one with the young girl that's got the
copper tone?
She was like, well, what happens with that then? You know, do they get to have that brand because it's got the dog, you know, pulling on the bathing suit? And I thought, oh, that's an interesting, you know, I really appreciated Judge Rosenbaum's bringing up these different examples of what does and doesn't get to be included or banned under this quote unquote obscene.
I think Republicans like to be thought of as big and tough and lots of guns, and we're so angry. And in fact, they're very soft, like an overripe tomato that's going to just burst open. They're so thin-skinned. You know, drag has been something that's been going on, well, forever, let's just say. And there's nothing threatening about it. You'd have to really be kind of a psychopath to be threatened by somebody in drag. And they are, many of them.
Again, you're just pathologizing
Well,
somebody.
I'm sorry.
They
You'd
can-
have to be very sheltered, I guess
cruel,
I'd say.
mean,
Never seen Milton Berle before. I mean, well, I'm trying to draw a parallel
ignorant,
to where these same people, this has been my beef.
bigoted.
This has been my beef about the abortion thing. It was never an issue for religious people until it politically was made one. And suddenly they care everything about it. So it's not having deep beliefs. It's having shallow beliefs that blow in the wind. That's what I despise about that viewpoint. You have a strongly held thing and you've held it for a long time. I get that.
I would say that particularly Christianity has gone back a long time. And
being anti-drag?
Oh, just being anything
anti-LGBTQ. Okay. Well, all right. Yeah.
This particular law.
Because so many people in the church are. So many of the hierarchy are gay. I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
I'm not getting into that.
Well, priests.
I'm not getting into that.
Okay.
But because that's a different story. I'm not going to get dragged down into that right now. On this particular story, this drag ban bill also had some fun things in there. So the DeSantis government was saying that we're going to revoke the business license of anybody, any organization that was allowing minors to see drag performances. But what got me about that was it didn't even matter if the parents consented to letting their children go to
parents' rights.
Yes. So there's the whole
rights.
Parents' rights, parents' consent. So I was like, wait a minute. So parents can consent to pulling books off the shelves and dictating what a teacher can and can't teach based off of LGBTQ, cultural studies, history, etc. But even if a parent consents to letting their child see a drag show, the government's going to override that and say, no, you can't do that.
Because you can't apply common sense to what I'm going to call insanity, because it is.
Jim,
whether it's clinically insane, it doesn't matter. But it's the logic is warped. Let's use that word. The logic is warped. It doesn't.
There you go.
It's sitting there 1 minute and you turn another direction and it's not there, and then you go over here and it says the exact opposite thing, and then it's situational. So it's not a logic. They're just throwing brickbats around trying to break things that they don't like. And what if people did that to them? I ask that question. What if people really did that to them? They would not know what was coming. But they're bringing that to themselves, I believe, by being this capriciously mean to decent human beings. I think they're asking for it, in my opinion.
Well, I've often wondered what would happen if a queer-owned business would discriminate against straight people.
Well,
if a queer bar started telling all of those straight women who want to have their bachelorette parties in the bar, like, no, you can't come in here, and we're deliberately discriminating against you based off of your sexual orientation. Well, what would happen then?
Right. Well, the thing is, we're not mean-spirited people for the most part. We're trying to live and let live, and it's so hard with MAGA people to live and let live. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who do it, right, because they're afraid of their partner. Literally, they're afraid of crossing somebody at church for fear of what'll be. I mean, that's really, you don't like the word mental, but that's really twisted to do something like that, to coerce them into being exactly who you want them to be. It's not good parenting. It's not good citizenship. It's not good sociology. It's not good mental health. So I object to it. It makes me angry because when I was growing up, I went out Halloween for drag, and I grew up in a very Republican household, and everybody thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So now suddenly they're threatened by this. And when they're told to be threatened by something else next week, it'll be something else. There's nothing underneath what they believe, in my opinion.
I've got to fit in a commercial break.
Sorry,
here.
I talked the whole time.
But yeah, we're going to take a break. Sorry, I was looking up at my screen here. We have a caller coming in. Caller, hold on. I have to take a break here. And when we come back, we will get to you. This show and progressive radio is not possible without our advertisers and sponsors. Please shop with them. Please do your business with them and tell them that you heard about them right here on The Gailey Show on AM 950 Radio or WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
Meet Jordan Berman, a charming single gay man in New York City who would love to be in love if only Mr. Right would swipe right. Between singles night happy hours and bachelorette blowouts, Jordan watches his girlfriends get engaged one by one, asking, what's next for him? Dive into the highs and lows of modern love and Significant Other, opening May 30th at the Main Street stage in Anoka. Tickets start at $43. Visit lyricarts.org. Lyric Arts, theater with character.
Hey, it's Tom. Even though I don't live in Minnesota, I've spent enough time there to know how quickly the weather can change. One day it's sunny and the next you're preparing for severe weather. That's where solar plus battery storage from All Energy Solar comes in. With this power-saving combination, you'll gain energy independence and stay connected through blackouts, emergencies, or extreme weather. Solar plus battery storage is perfect for rural areas where power outages are more common, or for anyone tired of worrying about rolling blackouts. And with plenty of incentives still available, All Energy Solar will work with you to make sure you get the most savings possible. For over 15 years, All Energy Solar has been a trusted partner in helping Minnesotans move to affordable, renewable energy. They offer the best battery technology and their own licensed electricians and contractors to ensure top quality installation. So stop paying the utility company and start generating and saving your own power. Get a free consultation today at allenergysolar.com.
If you're the parent or guardian of a queer young person, there's an opportunity for you to make their future brighter by filling out a community needs survey conducted by the Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans. The council wants to know what the needs and experiences are of younger queer people. The survey is confidential and available at mnqt.info/survey. Let's address the erasure and isolation that young queer people can experience by creating a more inclusive Minnesota. Go to mnqt.info/survey to get started.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease. It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
With a look at your AM 950 forecast, this is Adam. 56 for a high today under cloudy skies and a chance of rain. Tonight, the chance of rain will continue, a low of 44. Let Natural Lawn handle your lawn care so you can enjoy your lawn. Organic-based, environmentally friendly lawn care for over 30 years. Safer products for kids, pets, and the planet. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to naturallawn.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you live in the 2 p.m. hour from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, weeknights at 8 p.m. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. It is 33 minutes after the hour. I'm your host, John Parker. In studio with me, our executive producer, Jim Pounds. We have a caller, Brad. Brad, if you could hear us, what is on your mind today?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, it's very important, people, and you probably can interview the guy. His name is Greg Palast. He showed how 4.5 million votes were removed between Georgia. Yeah. The Jim Crow laws are alive and well, and we didn't hear one word about that in corporate media. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, we spent 6 months in Florida. I am telling you, it is a information desert. These people down there, because of programming and whatever, they just have no clue what's really going on in this world. And, you know, I understand your plight. You know, dressing up in drag's a lot of work.
It's not easy.
And, you know, and I'm under the 14th Amendment. And look, you don't wake up one day and say you're going to bet for the other team. You already know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew when I was 6, women were what I liked. Yep. The deal is, though, my kids didn't know what the Battle of Midway was or what the Rule of 72 was or how to balance a checkbook, but they knew all about gay rights and all that. And that's fine, but they need to know these other things too. So when or critical thinking, they don't have critical thinking in high school anymore, or civics.
Yeah.
No wonder we're in the trouble we're in.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yep.
No, Brad, thank you for that. I did not know about Greg Ballas's work until Tom Hartman. That's where I was hearing about it. So thank you, Progressive Radio. But it is, we should reach out to him and see if we could, because he's detailed out how they have kicked people off of the voter rolls. And it is bonkers.
In Georgia? Oh, yeah, Georgia.
No, just across the country, how
Oh, I
they've been
see.
kicking people off the voter rolls. And I also want to affirm the news deserts. So like my MAGA family live in rural areas of the Midwest.
Yep.
And when I drive through areas, like when I'm going back to Michigan or going up to Marquette, there are no local newspapers. If there is a local newspaper, it's owned by a MAGA person.
Right.
So it's all propaganda in there.
Yep.
There are no local TV news stations. I mean, even we split our time between Northwest Wisconsin and here in the cities, and there are no local TV stations. All the TV stations are from the Twin Cities. They don't do any local news from Barron County or Washburn County, or, you know what I mean, for about villages of Luck or Spooner or stuff like that. So there is literally huge swaths of this country that are news deserts where they're not getting the news. And, you know, case in point, to what Brad was saying, that not only do we not get critical thinking, but in Oklahoma, they just passed teaching curriculums where they have to teach their students that Biden lost the 2020 election. That is now in all of the curriculum in Oklahoma, statewide. They have to be taught that Trump won the election in 2020.
Right. Well, yeah, that's
It's bonkers.
I think maybe to add on to what Brad's saying, not only do they have to learn critical thinking skills, that we've gotten to the point where the Republicans are elevating falsehoods. You know, they're raising falsehoods from white lies to being a way of life, living a lie, speaking a lie, and passing it on to others. So,
and that is why I want to repeat those facts. I know people probably get bored with it very early on, but I want you to get bored with it so that you can just say it without me saying it. You know, puberty blockers for kids do not lead to permanent changes.
Right. But
if you are a trans kid on puberty blockers, if you came off those puberty blockers, there are no lasting changes there. Right. Kids under the age of 12 are not getting surgeries. That is not happening.
But we know that our audience is, you know, way better informed than the average person. And what we're encouraging people to do is, if you hear a fact that you think might address something Uncle Bill said out of his complete ignorance at Thanksgiving, you can say, hey, here's a fact for you.
Well,
or here's something we could all research together or something like that.
Yeah, some of those. But, you know, I also want to, people don't know that Hungary, who Trump absolutely loves, Hungary has universal health care. You're not going to find that from corporate media, because they just want to talk about how Viktor Orban, the prime minister, is banning pride parades, which, yes, it's an absolute, I almost swore. It's an absolute nightmare of a country, but they have universal health care. Now, their version of it is not the greatest if you look for all of the versions of universal health care, but they do have it.
Yes. Well, now you've done it twice, so let's move on from that.
I'm just saying we need to keep, you know, hammering these
and
facts
repeat
home
them to
and
others.
sharing them.
I
Yes.
agree. You're right.
Here's a shocker. I came across this morning, this headline, and I was like, wait, what? The Texas House of Representatives voted to repeal its 1973 law banning gay sex.
Is it?
And not only that,
I don't want to really talk about
12 Republicans joined with Democrats to vote 72 to 55 to overturn that law.
But I'm not sure. I don't want to do this very delicately. Most sodomy laws are about a certain kind of interaction, and that could also be performed in a heterosexual way. If you know, that's as much information as I want to get into. But I wonder if.
But
that was the reason for
interesting about
removing the law.
Texas, though, is that their attorney general said that he was ready for the Supreme Court to overturn their Supreme Court case from 2003 that said, no, you can't arrest people for having the gay sex. You can't do that anymore. But the thing about Texas, though, is that in the 1980s, They arrested 2 guys. It led to the Supreme Court. It was Bowers v. Hardwick. Oh, wow, I'm a nerd with the law today. But that was a court case in the late 80s where the Supreme Court said, yes, Texas, Michigan, California, you all can arrest people for having gay sex. So in 2003, when they overturned that, all of these states kept those laws on the books. Texas was one of them, where the Democrats kept trying to repeal it and repeal it and repeal it, and the Republicans weren't letting them do that. So it is wild to me that now they voted 72 to 55 to repeal this. Now, in terms of next steps, the vote will face another House vote this Friday, and then it's going to go to the Senate, and it's got to get through the Senate, and then obviously the governor has to sign out on it as well. But it was out gay state representative Venton Jones, Democrat, who was leading the charge to get this repealed. And it's also very timely, given Texas history and all of the law around this, that the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas, is asking for a case. He wants a case to come before him so that he can overturn this and say that, yes, states can discriminate and arrest people and ostensibly put them in jail, fine them for having
Well, there you've given your
sex.
That's why the Republicans would vote for it, to get it eventually in front of Clarence Thomas. They're just setting us up to be eviscerated. That actually makes sense more than anything else.
But there was interesting. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. And more to the story that I was like, wait, what? Reporting from LGBTQ Nation that even Senator Ted Cruz has supported repealing the law. As recently as 2022, a spokesperson said that it's an uncommonly silly law that a consenting adult should be able to do what they wish in their private sexual activity, and government has no business in their bedrooms. I was like, what? A Republican? And of all Republicans, a Senator Cruz was saying that, because Republicans believe that, yes, of course, the government shouldn't be involved in your business unless you're gay, unless you're trans. And then suddenly we've got a lot to say about what goes on in your bedroom and what you're doing. So anyway, I mean, chalk that up to a little bit of good news. I don't know if it'll pass the full Texas legislature, and who knows if MAGA Governor Abbott will actually sign it and repeal the law. But
yeah,
at least this vote, 72 to 55, I'm going to take the win for today.
Yeah, I think it's symbolic, and I think Governor Abbott is perhaps the dumbest person in public service, so I don't expect him to know.
I think there's a big.
Okay, well, he's
Representative Nancy Mace would.
He's on the A team of dopes.
Representative Taylor
service.
Greene, she would be on there too.
Fair
the other one from Colorado, Boebert.
Yeah.
There's a few others in there that I'm forgetting about, but Abbott would be up there. Yeah. Attorney General there, Paxton, he would be another one.
Another moron. Yes.
But
thank you.
All right. So switching gears here to social media, GLAAD issued their social media safety index report, and they do this on an annual basis to measure the exposure that LGBTQ plus folks have when engaging on social media platforms. And all of the major platforms scored below a 50 on their scale. And they looked at they looked at Twitter, they looked at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Threads, and TikTok. I was hoping they were going to do Blue Sky. But of all 6 of them, TikTok scored the highest with 56%. Actually, they're the ones that got 56. This score is determined based off of, does the platform provide comprehensive LGBTQ plus protections in their hate speech policies, their harassment policies, what is listed in their community guidelines. TikTok was the only one of only 2 platforms on the list that had policies specifically saying that you couldn't misgender somebody or dead name somebody on the platform. I have no idea what's going on with TikTok, if China is going to ban it. If Trump is going to ban it or not, if China's going to sell it. I don't know where all that drama went to. but I guess we'll have to see. But apparently, of all the major platforms, TikTok was the best on there. The Meta platforms, so Instagram, Threads, and Facebook, they got scores ranging from 40 to 45%. Part of the problem, obviously, is that Meta said that you can go on, I mean, not to just be generic and say, oh, we have free speech now. Meta literally went into their user policies and said, any person on this platform can say horrendous, including that LGBTQ people are mentally ill. They also said explicitly, hey, if you're on our platform, you can say women are the property of men. It just doesn't make, like, why would you go out of your way to write something like that? So that's why they got the scores that they did. YouTube got 41% because Google removed policy around gender identity and expression. And also, Google got rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And then obviously, to the surprise of nobody, Twitter got the lowest score of anybody because Twitter is owned by a man who literally bought the platform because he said that it brainwashed his trans child, and that was Twitter that made his child trans. So, and he turned it into an absolute cesspool of LGBTQ hatred. And I don't even understand. I mean, I get how some outlets like newsrooms have to be on there to see what he's saying, given his role in the government and basically destroying it and dismantling it left and right. But so many folks that are still on that platform, like, come over to Blue Sky.
Yeah, get off of Twitter.
We're on Blue
Really.
Sky.
It's
Blue
past.
Sky's lovely.
It's past.
I mean,
time.
Blue Sky's lovely, but it doesn't have a lot of great privacy protections. I'm just going to say that right now. Like, if you join Blue Sky, you're going to find some porno accounts following you. You can't set your account to private, which is super annoying. You have to block people individually. It's like, why wouldn't you just have the ability to say, no, this account is private and someone has to friend me and then I will allow that in? Why do you make me have to sit there and individually block people that I don't want to have blocked? That to me seems weird. But you know, Blue Sky keeps upgrading their platform every few months and adding new things in there. So hopefully they'll get more on board with the privacy and protections there. But largely, it is a super blue, meaning liberal, democratic, progressive platform on there, which I really appreciate. We are going to take one more break here. When we come back, though, we're going to end on an upbeat note. We're going to talk about Overcompensating on Prime Video, new TV show. It's really good. So you're listening to The Gaily Show.
Find a wide selection of outdoor hearth products at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether you prefer wood or gas, Woodland Stoves has the fire to fit your home. Pizza aficionados know nothing matches masonry oven baking for capturing flavor and nutrition. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can easily install one in your home or business. Enthusiasts use these ovens year-round for bread making, wood roasting, even grilling.
The mission and passion of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is to make the fire work for you. The way humans relate to fire is primordial. We have used fire to warm our bodies, cook our meals, and kindle our spirits. Our team has the know-how to do this in a clean-burning and environmentally smart way. Visit our store and experience the diversity. We have over 35 working units on display at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin. See us online at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that fits and works for you.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
The Stronger Together Pride Benefit Concert and Dance Party is coming to the Granada Theater in Uptown on Thursday, May 30th, and it's one night with a whole lot of heart. Hosted by Nina D'Angelo, this 21-plus event features live music from Ryan Cabrera and a high-energy dance floor driven by DJ Shannon Blowtorch. It's an incredible celebration, but it's also a fundraiser with a whole lot of impact. This year, Twin Cities Pride is facing a $200,000 funding gap after losing major sponsors. This event is a powerful way for the community, supporters, allies, and everyone who believes in Pride to step up and help close the gap. There are multiple ticket options available from general admission to premium experiences. So however you show up, you're making a difference. presented with support from the Car Guy Concierge. Find tickets and event info at tcpride.org. That's tcpride.org. Celebrate, support, and help power what comes next, because we are stronger together.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Warm weather is here. Maybe you're getting ready for a graduation party over at the house. There's a lot coming up as summer nears. Your house isn't ready, so that's why you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res right now. Zero Res can handle every surface in your home: carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, and air ducts. Zero Res has both been out to my house and out here at AM 950 in our studios in recent months. They did such a fantastic job. They were on time, professional, and courteous. They got the stains out that we didn't think would come out here at the station. This month, get 3-room Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner and take 20% off all services. That's right, 20% off all services. But you need to go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. 20% off all services all month. That's Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. It is 9 minutes before the top of the hour. I am your host, John Parker. Interesting news out of CBS News. Jim, do you want to share about a new high-level executive stepping down?
There's a very sad thing coming up. This is a lawsuit that the person that lives at Pennsylvania Avenue filed against CBS for a 60 Minutes interview, claiming that they messed with the editing of the segment, which is, their right. And he claimed that it somehow made Kamala Harris look a certain way, or it's just, he just didn't like it. That's when he files lawsuits. I just don't like that, so I'm going to file a lawsuit. And the longtime producer of CBS has already quit, saying, you had better not settle this case, because media does not settle those kinds of cases. No. They fight them out till the end because they have rights. And because Sherry wants to sell Paramount to David Ellison, she's going to settle this lawsuit, which now McMahon, the president of CBS News, has said, this is so wrong that I'm going to quit. This is the second high profile. And I think they're going to see a lot of people marching out of CBS, which is so sad if you respect
corporate
the CBS
owned media.
Yeah, it's what's happened where journalism now is way back in the back room somewhere, and deception, or at least kowtowing to some
when you have these
megalomaniac
billionaires, when you have these billionaires like the owner of the LA Times, the owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, and now here Sherry Redstone, where they want to keep their money or sell their company, or so Trump has found a way, and MAGA has found a way to pressure them, and say, well, if you don't do what I want with your newspapers and your news outlets, then I'm going to come after you and harm you. It's just,
so it's shameful.
This is why we shouldn't have corporate ownership of the media.
That's right.
Speaking of the media, because I need to end on an upbeat note today.
Okay.
There's been way too much law and legal stuff. Even the stuff that was good, like out of Florida, it's a lot. It's a lot. So Prime Video has a new series out. We watched a couple episodes of it this past weekend called Overcompensating. And we didn't get it in advance. Sometimes like outlets will get, 2 or 3 episodes of a series in advance to do the review or whatnot. We're not to that level yet. We're going to be there though. But Overcompensating is created, written, and executive produced by Benito Skinner. If you know Benito from online digital platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and all of those. A lot of great content coming out of there. Scott King also serves as the showrunner and executive producer. Interesting, Jonah Hill is one of the executive producers, along with Matt Dines and Allie Goodwin for Strong Baby. Also, Charlie XCX serves as executive producer and executive music producer of Overcompensating. But it's a college set comedy about this chaotic journey of Benny, who is played by Benito Skinner. Benny is is closeted, but was a former football player, was the homecoming king. I mean, has an amazing body, which you can imagine from being a football player, but is super closeted and barely even admitting it to himself, really. And it also kind of feels like American Pie, like late 90s, and sort of the concept of it, as I'm like, really? Like, you're this in the closet even in 2025? But it is. So on the first day, he becomes fast friends with Carmen, who's also an outsider, who is trying to, fit in as well. They meet at orientation, and it's just navigating Benny's older sister. Her boyfriend is like this. Oh my gosh, all the words that I want to say about this show. It's a lot of bruh culture. And I think that was something that was a little bit too much for me in watching it, is that they're really skewering and satirizing bro culture and what straight boys do, and the drinking and the fraternizing and the how much they dislike women, and just the awful misogynistic things that they say.
But
they're
no,
making fun of it, but sometimes I feel like they take the joke a little too far.
But I think they're letting us watch Benny, who's completely uncomfortable with this, forced to perform this stupid circus act. And how many guys, people listening in the audience, had to perform this stupid circus act with other straight guys because you were afraid of not being as idiotic as they are. And so you went along with it with regret, and you tried to match what they were saying, and you tried to be equally as dumb or dumber if you could, because that seems to be the culture. How dumb, how low can you go? And I think they're doing a great job of making it so uncomfortable you want to run screaming out of the room. And it makes me worry that somebody, as a parent of a male, you would really need to, these young men need to be taught and need to see this, need to see how ridiculous this behavior is and how corrosive and sinister it is. Because when you're sort of siding with the good people in the show, your skin crawls watching this stuff. It's really interesting social commentary, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, we're saying all that. It leans a little too heavily on the bro culture. I wish there was a little bit less than that, but obviously Benny is navigating that and has to find his way through that, but also get out of it. There's a really funny scene in the first episode around beer pong. I am not anywhere near college age anymore, but it took me back to beer pong days, which was really fun. I remember that being fun, right? Flavored vodka jokes galore, trying to get a fake ID jokes. Really, really good stuff. The Carmen's roommate is absolutely hilarious. She is really, it's just sort of this stereotypical college age girl, but really, ready for Instagram and TikTok videos and making them. And I just really appreciated that as well, sort of the skewering the other side of things, not just the bro culture, but I don't even know really what to call it.
I don't know. The female
I
showcase
do after 3 or 2 episodes rather, I am giving this 3.5 stars. I would give it more, but I want them to kind of reel it in.
I think they're setting this up so that we'll see a resolution. I feel like they're setting up a bad thing so that we can have a happy resolution. I hope we'll
be watching all
true.
The episodes.
Yeah,
we will be. All right. Thank you everyone for listening and or watching today. Up next on WCPT 820 and AM 950 is the Matt McNeil Show. For folks in Minnesota, stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. Connect with us on Blue Sky. We're at thegailyshow.org on Blue Sky. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings,